You're under arrest, Crackerjack. Get in the car.
For what? What charges? Enjoying a bike, a succulent Chinese bike?
Don't resist it.
This is Democracy Manifest.
In the car.
Get your hand off my motorcycle!
G'day, I'm Crackerjack, and this is a CF Moto 450 NK. Now, Chinese bikes have always had a bit of a reputation for being cheap, unreliable, or something that you get when you can't afford the real thing. But with some of the bikes that have been coming out from them lately, especially ones like this, I think it's going to change a lot of people's minds. It's got a punchy 450 twin, a stock exhaust that sounds a lot better than some aftermarket pipes, and more tech than a lot of its Japanese rivals. This could be an underdog with some serious bite. So today we're going to find out if it's just a budget pretender or if it's the real deal and maybe one of the best beginner-friendly learner nakeds on the market. Let's find out.
Now I'm really excited to ride this bike because CF Moto as a brand are in a really interesting space. I think they're sort of in the same area as the Japanese manufacturers were back in the sort of 70s and 80s. They're coming in, they're undercutting a lot of the market in terms of price, but they're delivering some bikes with some great spec sheets. But what I want to find out is if it's just an impressive spec sheet or is it actually an impressive bike too. This particular model shares the same engine as the 450 SR, quite a popular little sport bike these days. So it's got a 449cc parallel twin with a 270-degree crankshaft. Woohoo! And that pumps out around 46 to 49 horsepower depending on what region you're from. It's also got a great amount of torque, 39 newton meters. Woohoo! One thing you do notice straight away on this motorcycle is that it is very light. 173 kilograms fully fueled up, but strangely I think it feels even lighter than that. It's also got a smaller and more compact profile, which right now means it feels incredibly flickable. Riding out here through Brisbane City, I was amazed at how sort of light and nimble it was feeling, and it was really enjoyable actually to ride through the city. That was in part thanks to the sort of smooth feeling that you have in most gears. In first and second it can be a little bit juddery at times, but overall it's actually a really nice feeling motor. But I'm definitely keen to open it up a little bit further along this road and see what it's capable of. Now in terms of where those power specs sort of sit compared to the competition, it's definitely at the upper end. So this unrestricted parallel twin is about as much power as you can have as a learner. Wow, it feels good in these corners. For suspension, you've got a 37mm upside down fork at the front and a single shock at the back. Now my first thoughts towards how it feels on the road is that, look, the rear end is a little bit firm, but I'm totally okay with that. It sort of matches the agile feeling, and I wouldn't want it any softer. Far out. Now I reckon there's going to be quite a few bold statements in this video, and the first one is that, in my opinion, the 450 line from CF Moto stock are probably some of the best sounding Lambs bikes you can buy. Right up there with like the sort of Interceptor 650 from Royal Enfield. This thing has got a raw gargle to it. Listen to that, that's the stock pipe. It even has a little burble on the roll-off. That sounds good. Hear that? So I think definitely here in Australia at least, we do sort of have this predisposition and stigma attached to anything Chinese made right now. And I completely get that thinking, but when it comes to this motorcycle, it really sort of feels like an underdog from a sleeping giant. Give it 4 or 5 years, and with the way that CF Moto are going, I reckon they're probably going to be one of the most popular brands in the country. I already see a lot of 450s out on the road, not so much this model, but the sport bike variant. They're everywhere. And look, I've been guilty of sort of slipping into that mindset of just thinking that a lot of Chinese things are cheaply made and, you know, not quality. But I can't argue with a lot of factors about this bike. The price, brand new, undercuts the market by a fair amount. This one is second-hand, a 24 model, 5,700 Ks on the clock, and it's around 6.5, which is probably 2,000 or 3,000 less than the comparable Ninja, and it's better equipped. Let's see how it handles corners though. Yeah, now that is wicked. Little lightweight nakeds like this are a blast to ride. Not just for learners, but for experienced riders as well. You can really flick it to a twisty mountain road like we're on now without worrying too much about you know, binning it and going too fast. While we're on a sort of quieter part of the road though, I will talk about the ergonomics, because not everything about this bike is perfect. The overall seating position I'm quite a fan of so far. We're up moderately high, 795 millimeters, in a sort of regular position you'd expect on a naked. The handlebars feel quite wide, and you know, they do extend out past your hands a fair amount too. I think for most sized riders you'll be pretty comfortable on here. I'm 6 foot, just over 184 centimeters, and it fits my dimensions really well. It's much more comfortable than a little sport bike like my Ninja 400 is. Not too much of a bend in my knee, and I'm not stretched out too far or leaning too far forward. One thing that I'll point out, and it's something that I noticed quite quickly, is that I'm not a huge fan of these stock foot levers. The distance between the peg and the lever is quite wide.
So I think people with smaller foot sizes, maybe, you know, 7 or 8, or maybe ladies, they may have trouble reaching them.
I did mention that it's got a lot more tech in it than the sort of next comparable Japanese model, like, you know, the Z4 or 500 or the MTO3s, and you can see that straight away. Like, look at this dash. The quality of the screen is really good. It's very bright. You do have traction control as standard. You've got ABS as standard. That traction control is switchable, as well as a setting in here to turn it off. You've got Bluetooth connectivity. You can listen to music and do all sorts of stuff with this machine, which is great, you know, but normally you have to pay a lot extra for those features, but on this one it just comes along with it. It is a windy day, and we're going to go through some longer sweeping turns. It'll be interesting to see how it feels through those. Will it be planted? Will it feel like it's being blown around? Let's find out. Again, I gotta say, I'm impressed. It's doing a great job here. I was expecting it to sort of fall apart on that part of the road, because it is tougher on bikes. It's bumpy, it's windy, there's long sweepers, but it's handling it very well. And so far, in terms of vibrations, it's been very good at handling them. I've only really noticed it through the foot pegs at the higher RPMs.
So we're at 3,000 RPM now, 3rd gear. Puttering along, it's doing pretty well. Quick pit stop. Now, I know I said I was going to have some bold statements in this video, and I think the second one is about to come up. We all know that Chinese manufacturers have a, how do we say, tendency to replicate and recreate other famous products. And I gotta say, when I first saw this thing, my initial reaction was, that front end looks kind of familiar. And then when I got on it and started riding it, that feeling intensified. It feels and it sounds kind of like an MTO7 or maybe even an MTO9. It's like a mini MTO9. It looks like it, it sounds like it, and it honestly kind of rides like it too. They say that imitation is the highest form of flattery, and well, I also know that a lot of people will be worried about the build quality of it. And look, so far, being with it in person, obviously I've only been with it for probably an hour and a half, it feels very well put together. There's no sort of loose wires anywhere. I haven't seen any sort of gaps or loose panels anywhere. Everything feels solid, and I think brand new, they come with quite a good warranty on them too.
Heading back down, and I want to test the acceleration and the brakes. Mate, what are you doing? Come on now. Alright, let's slow right down in second. Yeah, look, it's got a pretty good amount of power. It's not going to blow you away, of course, being a Lamb's bike, but I can't complain about it. It feels fast. Now, low down in second and third gear, tell me that this doesn't sound like an MTO7 or an MTO9 with a pipe on it. If I heard that from the side of the road, I would think that that is a bigger bike than a 450cc twin. Look, I think this thing, it's not going to blow anyone away, right? It is a Lamb's bike, but gosh, it's a good one. Now, in terms of brakes, I'll be honest, I'd never heard of the company before, but apparently they are a subsidiary of Brembo. So let's give it a test. Well, look, they're actually quite good. The bike being so light definitely helps in this aspect, but, you know, I don't think anyone will be complaining about the performance of both of those front and back used together. I'm actually a fan of these mirrors too. They're big and bright and easy to see a lot of stuff behind you with. You know, occasionally it actually feels a little bit jittery cruising along in fourth between the 4,000 to 5,000 RPM range. Sometimes it can feel like it can sort of putter right there around that 4,000 to 5,000 RPM mark. I'm holding it smooth, but it sort of feels like it's going like this a little temperamental. The lower RPMs.
So, the 450 NK. Honestly, I came into it thinking it's probably just going to be another budget bike with a fancy dash, but it actually surprised me. The engine is smooth and torquey, and for a Lamb's bike, it's pretty quick. It's got that kind of punch that makes you double check the speedo and think, damn, am I really on a Lamb's bike? They say it's got a 0 to 100 time of around 5 seconds, and I think that's accurate. And then there's the handling. This thing loves the corners. It's so light and nimble. Sometimes it honestly feels like it's reading your mind. You just look where you want to go and the bike's like, yep, no worries. But the real star of the show, it's got to be the exhaust. I can't believe that it's coming from a stock pipe. It's deep, it's throaty, and it's got this cheeky burble on the roll-off that makes you grin like an idiot. For once, for a learner bike, you don't have to budget in getting an aftermarket pipe to make it sound good. I actually found myself comparing it to the likes of Yamaha's MT-07 and MT-09. Let's talk city riding, because I think it does well there. It's easy to use and handle, and the overall profile is small, which helps you get around tight corners. However, I did notice a little bit of juddering and hopping at lower speeds, especially in first and second gear. Even when holding the throttle steady, the bike would sort of complain a little bit. Look, it's not a big deal, but it's worth mentioning. Now, when it comes to the tech and the features included, this is where the Underdog starts to flex its muscles. It's got a great TFT display, switchable traction control, ABS, Bluetooth connectivity, all on a bike that's still a lot cheaper than most of its competitors. A lot of the Japanese bikes in this class can't compare, and if they do, they cost a lot more. So when it comes to value for money here, it's a big tick. Comfort-wise, I actually fit on it really well too. The seat's not bad at all for a smaller bike, and the ergonomics feel natural for me. Although I could find smaller riders finding the bar reach or the stock foot levers a little bit awkward, but I don't think it's anything that you can't adjust to. Now, in terms of styling, look, it's okay. It is going to be, of course, in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think it looks as good as the sport bike variant, the SR. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people will be thinking about when it comes to this Chinese bike is, how is the reliability? How is the build quality? Will it fall apart in 6 months? Because that's the stigma, right? But look, I gotta be honest, having spent the day with it, I think it overall looks like it's pretty well put together. It looks and it feels well built. The panels don't creak, the paint's okay, the welds look solid, and with a decent warranty behind it, I wouldn't dismiss it just because of where it's made. So overall, my verdict, don't scoff, don't laugh, because this Chinese bike, it's pretty good. If you're in the market for a learner-friendly naked that's fun, agile, and sounds like a mini Wright every time you roll off the throttle, the 450 NK is absolutely worth a look. I also want to take a second to thank our friends over at Team Moto Kawasaki in Bowen Hills. They're the guys that lent me this bike. If you're in the market for a new or used motorcycle, or are looking to trade yours in, go and check them out and tell them I sent you. If you did enjoy this review, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. I put a ton of effort into these videos and I hope you enjoy. But until next time, thanks for watching. See you soon.
You're under arrest. Get in the car.
What are the charges? Get your hand off my motorcycle!
Serial killer.